right, we are live, everybody. Welcome to In the Paint Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. I'm your host, Dan Tanner. We got Nuggets and Pelicans to react to tonight. Obviously, there is so much going on in the NBA right now that I want to get into tonight as well. Obviously, my post-game show just a few nights ago, about an hour after I ended, one of the biggest trades in NBA history went down. So, of course. I do want to get into that. There's been a couple of other big trades recently in the NBA as well. The trade deadline comes up on Thursday. This Thursday, the deadline is 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So we will obviously be getting into trade deadline stuff. How does this affect the Nuggets? Are the Nuggets looking to make any moves at the deadline? And so much more. And this team is looking like it's starting to find its groove a little bit more. But let's get into. We'll start with the game tonight down at Ball Arena, where the Nuggets beat the Pelicans 125-113 is your final. The Nuggets improved to 31-19 on the year. They're now 15-8 at Ball Arena, where they've started to gain some momentum. At Ball Arena, they really struggled early on this season to get victories in the Mile High City, but they're starting to turn it up at Ball. And they're going to face this New Orleans Pelicans team again on Wednesday night, so at home. All right, so to the game tonight, I thought, obviously, this was a weird game to start because no Peyton Watson. Okay, he got injured in Philadelphia. It was released early this morning by the Nuggets that he's going to be out a minimum of 4 weeks with a knee sprain. So that's going to be something to really monitor here over the next couple of weeks as far as what Michael Malone wants to do with his lineup. And no Aaron Gordon tonight as well, and Russell Westbrook is still out for the foreseeable future. Malone said before the game, it's just sort of a kind of a wait and see type of deal. But hey, I'll tell you what, I got to give the Nuggets credit tonight because they pretty much threw everybody out there. I mean, obviously you didn't have Dario Saric, PJ Hall, and Trey Alexander playing this game, but everybody else played. Hunter Tyson played. DeAndre Jordan played. Jalen Pickett played. Julian Strawther played 24 minutes tonight. And I thought Julian Strawther was phenomenal tonight for the Nuggets. He had 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting from the field, just 1 of 5 from beyond the arc, but he had 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, 2 steals. I thought he was really active on the defensive end. And I tell you what, I've been saying this over and over again, but Julian Strawther, not only has he absolutely, unequivocally at this point, taken the next step in his development in his young career. I mean, he's just in his second year. Let's not forget that, okay? He's really coming along nicely. This was a player that myself and a lot of people around the organization identified as somebody that really needed to take the next step this year for the Nuggets. And kind of a slow start to the season for Julian Strawther. But I tell you what, over the last month and a half or so, Julian Strawther has been outstanding for the Denver Nuggets. He was excellent again tonight, so that was really good to see. That's one of the bench guys that they are going to use heavily come playoff time. You're not going to see a lot of Jalen Pickett. I mean, I hope you don't see a lot of Jalen Pickett. You're not going to see a lot of DeAndre Jordan. You're not going to see a lot of Hunter Tyson. You're not going to see a lot of those guys. But one of the bench guys you are going to see a lot of get into the rotation in the playoffs is Julian Strawther. And my confidence level in him has grown exponentially over the last month or so of the season. He has been absolutely fantastic. And it looks like he's just getting more and more confident as each game goes by. Earlier on this season, Julian was very, very hesitant in his game. Not just shooting the basketball, but driving to the rim. When do I make the inlet pass to the low post? And you don't see that anymore from Julian Strawther. He is confident. He is going downhill when he's driving to the rim. He's shooting the lights out of the basketball. So it has been a really, really positive development for this Denver Nuggets basketball team, seeing Julian Strawther pick it up the way he has. Also in tonight's game, I mean, the player of the game, you could make the case it was Nikola Jokic. He got another triple double. By the way, didn't realize this going into tonight's game, but Nikola Jokic, the team he has the most triple doubles against in his career is the New Orleans Pelicans. Go figure. He has 13 now against the Pelicans. The next team I think is at 9. So Nikola Jokic loves playing against the New Orleans Pelicans. He was excellent again tonight. 9 of 13 from the field. There was that weird little stretch there towards the second half of the third quarter where the Nuggets just couldn't score. And Nikola Jokic missed he only missed 4 shots. He missed like three in a row, like just low in the painted area, shots that Joker makes 85 out of 100 times, but he misses 3 in a row. That got his shooting percentage down just a tick, but he goes 9 of 13 tonight. Got to the foul line 10 times. I love to see that. Hit 8 of them, 14 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, and 27 points for Nikola Jokic. I don't think there's any doubt that Nikola Jokic is the front runner for league MVP. I know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is having a phenomenal season, but what Nikola Jokic is doing right now is unprecedented, okay? We've never seen this in the NBA before. Nuggets fans, I mean this, and I know most of you understand this, but we really do need to take a step back and just soak in and realize what we're witnessing right now with Nikola Jokic. We're not just witnessing the best Denver Nugget of all time. We are witnessing one of the greatest players to ever play this game, and we're witnessing the greatest season in NBA history right now from a personal standpoint from Nikola Jokic. Nobody's ever done what he's doing. I mean, look at all the advanced statistics. He's having the best season, statistically speaking, in NBA history. So how do you not give a guy who's having statistically the best season in NBA history? I don't know. But it really looks like Nikola Jokic is in line to win his 4th MVP in 5 years. That's how good Nikola's playing right now. But the other player of the game tonight, Michael Porter Jr. I mean, have yourself a game. Wow. 12 of 22 from the field, 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. Season high, 36 points. His previous season high was 28, so he blew that out of the water. I thought he kept the Nuggets in this game. I mean, there were times where the Nuggets were going in offensive dry spells, and Michael came in and hit a couple of big threes and sort of just got that momentum rolling again. So that was great to see. He put on a show tonight. And let me just say this. I saw some reports that there were scouts, more scouts than usual, in Ball Arena tonight. The trade deadline is Thursday, like I said. I don't think they're trading Michael Porter Jr. But what I will say is if they are considering it, this was a great game to have a great game for Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he put it all on display of what he is capable of doing tonight. Also, Zeke Naji gets the start. Now, again, no Aaron Gordon, no Peyton Watson, no Russell Westbrook. So I get it. The lineups, Malone had to really finagle with the lineups. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those scouts were there to take a look at Zeke Naji as well, because I don't think it's any secret that the Nuggets would probably be looking to move on from Zeke at the trade deadline. But I thought it was easily his best game of the season. There's no doubt about that. In fact, he started the game 3 of 3, hit the first 3-pointer of the game for Denver with 7 points in the first quarter. That was great. And you saw what was really cool with Zeke Naji tonight specifically. He was matched up one-on-one the majority of the game with Zion Williamson. Now, Zion has missed 36 games this year. He's obviously still trying to work his way back into shape, but my God, I mean, what a job Zeke Naji did guarding Zion Williamson tonight. Zion was 5 of 13 from the field, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 14 points. That is an excellent job defensively for Zeke Naji. And by the way, I get it. Like I said, Zion's been out for 36 games now this year. That dude looks like a shell of himself. I mean, holy cow. He looks like a different player than when he first came into the league. His spring is still there, but he's not as bouncy as he once was. And who knows, maybe he'll work his way back into shape, into playing shape, and he'll be the Zion that came into the NBA. But my goodness, that dude looks, at least right now, like I said, a shell of himself. Get to some of your comments here. Kelton says, where was this Zeke Naji been? Where's this Zeke Naji been? Yeah, well, he's been on the bench for the majority of the season. That's mostly where he's been. But I get what you're saying. Zeke was, like I said, if this was the game where scouts were going to come and take a look at Zeke Naji, I don't, this is just a conspiracy theory. I really don't have any inside info on this, but might have been a reason that Michael Malone decided to start Zeke Naji tonight. I'm just saying, okay? That's just my conspiracy. I don't know if that's true, but it would make sense, okay? And like I said, I don't think it's any secret that the Nuggets might be looking to move on from Zeke. Well, they're definitely looking to move on from Zeke. It's just, it all comes down to, what can they get for him? And we'll see. I mean, we will see. But all right, let's head out to Ball Arena right now. Michael Malone has just spoken with the media, and we will hear from the head coach of the Denver Nuggets.
Coach, obviously you guys were down a few rotation players tonight. What did you really like about the performance of different people stepping into different places?
Well, I thought for the most part, I thought our defense was better than it has been. Obviously, 18 threes is too many. We'll have to clean that up. But the first game back after a 9-10 day road trip, the first game is always the toughest. And the first couple of minutes, I was really kind of curious to see how we were going to be. And then I thought we played really well. Obviously in that third quarter, that was the one quarter where we kind of didn't play our best on either end of the floor. But at the start of the fourth, the group that was out there got us off to a really good start, and we were able to continue that for the rest of the quarter. Michael was great tonight. Michael Porter, I have to give him a lot of credit. 36 points in a really efficient night, 7 of 12 from three, 7 boards, and obviously getting to the foul line 5 times. Nikola was his usual brilliant self with another triple double, and really efficient on 13 shots. And Jamal, 20 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. I thought Zeke's defense on Zion was tremendous. As back-to-back games where Zeke Naji's put his imprints all over the game on the defensive end, and he also produced on the offensive end as well. And Julian off the bench was a huge scoring punch for us. So a good win. We'll have to be better come Wednesday night.
You have young guys. You just mentioned Pickens played, Zeke getting the start. Obviously, Tyson came in there. Strother keep developing. How do you keep those guys from putting their dauber down just because they have a bad play or they miss an open shot?
What the hell's a dauber? Okay, all right. I learned something tonight. Next play, man. Next play. Julian, I think, was over 4 at one point. I'm drawing up plays for him. Hey, stay aggressive, keep shooting the ball, because the shots he was getting were great looks. And the only way you're going to get out of that is by continuing to shoot the ball with confidence. I just was going around the locker room and Jalen Pickett said, "My fault, coach." I said, "What are you talking about? Your fault. I thought you did a good job for us tonight against a very aggressive backcourt and Alvarado picking you up full court." But I'm just happy for those guys. You never want to be out without a Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson, but it's an opportunity for those guys to play. And I felt they all took advantage of those minutes that they were given tonight. And I'm happy for those guys.
Is that a fun part of coaching?
It is. It's rewarding. It's a rewarding part. Because you can only, when fully healthy, you can only play so many guys. And you see every single day I mean, that's one thing I wish sometimes you guys could peek behind the curtain. Every single day, the amount of work, time, energy, effort they pour into this, waiting and waiting, patiently waiting for that opportunity to come. And when it comes and they take advantage of it and they have success, you're happy for them because they're all great kids.
Kind of to that point, what was it that made you want to go with Zeke specifically in the starting role tonight?
There's a guy named Zion over there. And if you think about our defensive depth chart for a guy like Zion Williamson, you have Aaron Gordon, who was out tonight. You have Peyton Watson, who was out tonight. Russell Westbrook's guarded everybody in the league. All three of those guys are out. So Zeke is the next logical choice, especially looking at what he just did in that game against Charlotte. So I'm sure Zion's going to be 10 times better on Wednesday night, and will have to be better. But I felt when you guard a great player, a forceful player like that, you have to attack that matchup and not be afraid of it. And I felt Zeke went out there, embraced that challenge from opening tip all the way to the end.
Mike, trade talks ramping up around the league. Have you checked in with Mike more than you typically would, last week or two?
No, because we're not trading Michael Porter. So I'm not
Wow.
touching base with anybody on that. I'm touching base with the guys on better defense, better spacing, taking care of the ball. And if there's something coming, obviously Calvin will talk with me, and I'm sure we'll communicate with whatever players. But Michael is a really important piece. Michael helped us win a championship, so we'll see what happens going into this coming Thursday, rather. But to my knowledge, there have been no conversations, so I don't feel the need to converse with somebody when there's nothing there.
Starting backcourt had no turnovers. Your starters had 3. How much easier does that make it on the defensive end? I mean, it's going to make a huge difference for you guys defensively, just not having to battle against those easy opportunities.
Oh, amen. Thank you. To put that in bold print, whatever website, article, smoke signals, whatever you want to do. When we turn the ball over, we fuel teams' breaks, and we've done that way too often, especially as of late. That road trip, if you look at that 5-game road trip, that was the one thing that stood out, was our turnovers leading to fast break points, to transition threes. So if you can have 28 assists, only 6 turnovers, that means you're setting your defense, and you have a chance to employ your defensive game plan. So 21-9 and fast break points is a direct result of us only having 6 points off of our mistakes.
Okay, there he is, Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. Well, there you go, everybody. He just said it. We're not trading Michael Porter Jr. So there you go. Like I said, I didn't think they were going to, and a performance like tonight gives me a lot of confidence that Michael can do what this team needs him to. Now, again, it goes back to, like, can Michael do it on a consistent basis? And I'll throw Jamal Murray in there as well. Jamal had kind of a rough game tonight. He was, what did Jamal have tonight? 7 of 17, 1 of 4, was 5 of 5 from the line. I mean, he ended up with 20 points. You know my rule. If Jamal gets to 20 points, the Nuggets should win 85 to 90% of their games. They really should. And he got to the 20-point marker tonight. But yeah, there you go. Malone asked, hey, have you talked to Michael? Conversations ramping up. Why would I talk to Michael? We're not trading him. There you go. So any of the rumors that we've heard over the last 2 months, well, Zach LaVine's out. He got traded to the Sacramento Kings in the De'Aaron Fox deal. Okay. It's not surprising, but it is sort of one of those deals where it's in the back of your head because there have been so many rumors going on. So that to me pretty much says the Nuggets are probably going to stand pat at the deadline unless there is some sort of smaller deal involving Zeke Naji, or there could be the other option, which is the Nuggets help facilitate a larger trade to get draft picks or cash considerations or something like that. That's something that I haven't really mentioned a lot. That would be really a really wise move for Calvin Booth to seriously consider of being that third party, if you will, in a trade where the Nuggets aren't acquiring a player necessarily, but they're acquiring draft picks, because the Nuggets, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Nuggets don't have that many draft picks over the next couple of years. They've used most of their future assets to win now. And that's what they should be doing. I mean, they're in the Jokic era. He's 30 years old. You got to go all in. And that's what this team is doing. So who knows? It sounds like Thursday might be a bit of a boring day in the Mile High City. But as far as the NBA trade deadline so far, it has been wild, to say the least. So on Saturday night, I ended my post-game show after the Nuggets eked out a victory over the Charlotte Hornets. And about an hour or so later, I see a tweet from Shams pop up on my phone. Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. Now, I know there were other players involved, but those were the big two. Wow. I mean, everybody was like, this has to be fake. There's no way this is happening. Then Shams quote tweets it saying, this is 1000% real. This is happening. Okay, so the trade went through. Luka is already in LA. Anthony Davis is already in Dallas. I did see a report today that Anthony Davis is probably going to miss his first possible game in Dallas with an abdominal strain. I mean, shocker. Anthony Davis, to his credit, has been pretty healthy over the last couple of years, but he's had a career plagued with injury issues. There's so many layers to this trade. Number one, how in the hell did the Lakers get another franchise cornerstone? They do it all the time. I mean, it seems like once every 7 to 10 years, the Lakers pull off some sort of move like this. LeBron was the last one, and LeBron was a little bit of a different story. He was older in his career. He was very accomplished at that point. He sort of chose that destination. The Luka trade, the reason it was one of the craziest, most shocking trades in NBA history was because, number one, there was no chatter about this trade going down. There was absolutely no chatter that Luka Doncic was even up for grabs potentially by the Dallas Mavericks. So that's the first thing with this. The second thing is, and I think this is probably the part that most people have the biggest issue with, and the thing that kind of ticks me off. I saw a report that the Mavs basically only talked to the Lakers. I saw a report where they had conversations with one other team, but they had mainly been working specifically with the Los Angeles Lakers about the Luka Doncic trade. What are the Mavs doing? I mean, I don't get this trade at all. And I know there's stuff coming out over the last couple of days. The front office was over Luka. They were unhappy with his weight. There was a report that said in late November, he was listed as out with a right wrist sprain. Well, they actually wanted him to lose weight. Well, during that time off, he gained weight. So that pissed the front office of the Mavericks off even more. But even with that being said, why are you not opening up Luka Doncic to the rest of the league? I mean, how stupid is the Mavs front office for doing that? The trade value they got back for a 25-year-old superstar just getting going in the prime of his career. 5 all-NBA teams he's made already in his career. Went to the finals last year with the Mavs. And you get Anthony Davis and a first-round pick? That's it? The Brooklyn Nets got 10 first-round picks for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant. Can you imagine being a Dallas Mavericks fan right now and how pissed off you would be? We were trying to come up with on Columbus, Hastings, and DMAC today. What would some other equivalent trades look like in other sports. And I actually saw one on Twitter today that made me chuckle because it was pretty accurate, I would say. This trade would be like the Avs trading Cale Makar to the Tampa Bay Lightning for Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman's a Hall of Fame player. I mean, don't get me wrong. Great player. Long in the tooth. I mean, he is on the downhill of his NBA or of his NHL career. Cale Makar is like just getting into his prime. One of the best players in the National Hockey League. The best defenseman by far. I know a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans won't like me for saying that, and Quinn Hughes is fabulous, but Cale is the best defenseman. There's no doubt about that. That's what this would be like in terms of equating what the Mavs and Lakers just did and what the Avs would be doing if they traded Cale Makar for like Victor Hedman. That it doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. There has to be something else going on. And now all of the conspiracies are coming out. The league wants Luka in the Los Angeles market. The ratings in the NBA have been down significantly over the past close to a decade. There's no secret about that. Is this a way for the league to try and drum up more interest? Well, I got to say, the trade sure drummed up interest. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Okay. And I got to say, as much as the NFL is king in the United States of America, the NBA trade deadline is the most cinematic trade deadline, the most drama-filled trade deadline of any of the four major sports in our country. It really is. I mean, it's wild. And this year is obviously sort of an even crazier trade deadline. But I just that doesn't make any sense to me with the Dallas Mavericks. And there's a lot of stuff coming out that the new Mavs ownership are trying to create a Las Vegas style gambling epicenter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I don't know why you have to trade Luka Doncic to accomplish that. But man, that like talk about shaking up the NBA world. So there's so much more I could get into with this trade. That's just so ridiculous, but I'll save that for another time. How does this affect the Nuggets? How does this trade specifically, and De'Aaron Fox went to the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think that's going to have any effect on the Western Conference this year, but I tell you what, the Spurs are going to be a problem, probably starting next year. They are. I mean, to have an all-star point guard and the next best NBA player after Nikola Jokic hits the downturn in his career, Victor Wembanyama is going to be the best player in the NBA eventually. I don't know when that day is going to be exactly, but it is going to be, I don't know, within the next 5-6 years, something like that. They're going to be a problem. And they're probably going to make the playoffs this year. Now, again, I don't think they're a threat to get out of the West this season, but they are going to be in the future. And the Kings, they get Zach LaVine from Chicago. I don't know really what that does for them, honestly. That's kind of a head scratcher as well. The Kings are one of those organizations that just are run pretty poorly, and that's clearly been on display with how they've treated their head coaches over the past decade. I mean, just look at Michael Malone. And they fired their head coach, Mike Brown, earlier this year. I was at the press conference. The day that happened, the Nuggets played at home. And obviously, Michael Malone has been fired by the Sacramento Kings as well. And he went on a rant about how ridiculous that firing was. So that it's just sort of an inept organization. But does this do these trades? Because these are all Western Conference trades so far, you know, for the most part. How does this affect the Nuggets? I don't think it really does at all, to be quite honest. At least for this year. The Mavs, are they better now this season? I mean, I guess you could say they are just because Luka hasn't been playing much. And look, Anthony Davis is still an all-star caliber NBA player. There's no doubt about that. He is still an excellent basketball player, but he's 31. Is he really going to be like a future piece for the Dallas Mavericks? I have no idea. In fact, I could see this playing out to where Dallas actually ends up trading him within the next year or two, something like that, and then probably starting a rebuild because Kyrie Irving's not getting any younger as well. And then as far as the Lakers go, does it make the Lakers better this year? I don't think so. Not this season. It does for the future. There's no doubt about it that this was a move for the future for the Los Angeles Lakers. They are looking at LeBron James being on the wrong side of 40 years old and moving to the future. And what are the next 10 years going to look like for that organization? That's what that move was. I don't think it makes them more of a threat to get out of the West this season. Now, next year, we'll see what happens. We'll see how Luka pairs with Austin Reeves, with Rui Hachimura, with LeBron, with Dalton Connect. So, in my mind, that's a win for Denver, because I don't think those trades affect the Nuggets' ability in a negative way to get out of the Western Conference this year. The Lakers aren't beating the Nuggets. They're not beating the Thunder. They're not, they probably could beat Houston. And again, I like Houston a lot. They're just still a little bit too young. But that trade for Dallas is truly something that I really don't understand. It's pretty wild. That would have been like the Nuggets trading Nikola Jokic at age 25 for a 31-year-old on the back nine of his career type of star player. So it's going to get crazy. I mean, there's still a couple of days left for the NBA trade deadline, and who knows what's going to happen. I've seen reports today that Kevin Durant is on the trade market for Phoenix. I've seen a lot of Nuggets fans saying get KD to the Nuggets. Look, again, I don't know how the Nuggets are going to make any major move. And you just heard Michael Malone. They're not trading Michael Porter Jr. So that is off the table. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. All right, Corin. I live in Dallas, and holy crap, are the Mavs fans PO'd. Yeah, I would imagine they're extremely pissed. Corin says, one of my mom's friends said, welp, I already know what I'm going to use my Mavs season ticket money for. On booze, I would assume is what you meant, on a big bottle of Jack Daniels to wash away the pain. Again, like, imagine being a Mavericks fan right now. I would be so pissed if I was a Mavericks fan. Like, it's not that even they lost the trade. It was the total incompetence of the whole situation. Not opening up Luka to the rest of the league. What are you doing? You couldn't go to the Boston Celtics and say, hey, what about Jaylen Brown? They're not going to give up Jason Tatum, but they might have given up Jaylen Brown for Luka. I would do that. Except Luka doesn't play defense, but there aren't many players in the NBA that I would refuse to give up for Luka. I mean, he's a top 5 player when healthy. So that was wild to see. And again, I would say I feel bad for Dallas fans, but I don't care about them. All right, let's see here. Kelton says, another injury for Luka Sandwich. I did see a funny tweet yesterday. Luka's first triple double in Los Angeles, and it was an In-N-Out burger. That's some good stuff there. That is some good stuff. So yeah, MPJ trade talk is over. That's from Adam. I mean, if you missed it, Malone just squashed that. I mean, he squashed it. He was asked, if you missed it, have you been talking to Michael? It's near the trade deadline. Are you in communication with him? All that kind of stuff. He said, we're not trading him. So why would I talk to him? There you go. And by the way, we are going to chat with Michael Malone tomorrow on our show. He's scheduled for 12:20 on Columbus, Hastings, and DMAC. So we'd love to get Coach's thoughts on the craziness of the trade deadline, what's going on with Aaron Gordon, what's going on with Russ, what's going on with Peyton Watson. So tune in tomorrow, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We are going to have Nuggets head coach Michael Malone on to chat with him. And then last thing before we get out of here, tomorrow, I can't share much, but all I will say is on the morning sprint with Coach Mike Sanford and Alex Ryanemi, around 10:30, we're going to have some really good news to share with Denver and Colorado sports fans coming up at 10:30 tomorrow. It is, like I said, I can't say anything about it, but all I will say is it's very positive. And if you love Denver sports, you are going to be very excited about the announcement that we have coming up tomorrow on our airwaves. So excellent stuff from the Nuggets tonight. Again, they get the win over the Pelicans, 125-113. And remember, so the Nuggets have 7, including tonight, 7 of their next 8 games are at home. Now, the NBA All-Star break is their last game before the break is February 12th. So they're really hitting the pocket of the schedule where, I would be surprised if Aaron Gordon played these next 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, until the All-Star break comes up. That would be a surprise to me because Malone did say before the game that this is probably something that Aaron Gordon's going to be dealing with the rest of the season. Not surprising. He's been dealing with it all year. And Peyton Watson's going to be out for about a month. So, hopefully by early to mid-March, we'll see Peyton Watson back in the lineup. But this is a great opportunity for the Nuggets to really stack up some wins here against some pretty bad teams. Again, they've got New Orleans coming up again on Wednesday. Then they've got the Orlando Magic in town on Thursday. Good basketball team, good young basketball team. I like what Orlando's doing, but they're dealing with some injuries right now as well. Then they go to Phoenix, and then they come back home for 2 games against the Portland Trail Blazers. So this team has a great opportunity to really stack up some wins and, keep ascending in the Western Conference, where they sit 4th right now. They are 9 games back of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're just a game and a half back of Houston, and they're 3 games back of Memphis. Big opportunity coming up for the Denver Nuggets. But that's going to do it for the postgame show tonight, everybody. Appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you coming up on Wednesday night after Nuggets and Pelicans right here on In the Paint. Have a good night, everybody.